Good evening, everybody, and welcome to History Bite number 9, dated August the 16th, 2020. I'm Walter, your mobile historian and blue-collar scholar. This History Bite is entitled Alexander Hamilton versus Thomas Jefferson and Their Vision for America. We all know Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson as prominent founding fathers in American history, and indeed they both were. Both men served in President Washington's cabinet until Jefferson resigned in 1793. During their time serving President Washington, the two men, frankly, had a relationship that resembled a lion and a hyena, agreeing on nothing and clashing on just about everything. These two men, while both from the same economic class, both were aristocrats, Hamilton a northern aristocrat, Jefferson a southern aristocrat, had very different views on the future of America. Okay? And as a result, that would inevitably lead to conflict. And it did. The two agreed on nothing. Perhaps maybe the sole exception being that they both wanted this nation to thrive and prosper. But how to go about that, they of course parted paths. Let's start with Alexander Hamilton. As I mentioned to you the other day, Alexander Hamilton essentially wanted the United States to become another Great Britain in its economic status. Hamilton wanted America to become a corporate empire dominated by banks, businesses, large cities with a commercially based economy. All right? Typical of a northern aristocrat. Thomas Jefferson, by stark contrast, wanted America to remain a nation of small farmers with an agriculturally based economy and a very rural society. Okay? Typical for a southern aristocrat. Jefferson hated big cities and hated anything that resembled the mighty European capitals in which he had spent time. While he loved Paris, it's beyond question, he did not think much of the conditions of Paris or any other major city that he lived in. Jefferson preferred a rural society, and Hamilton preferred the conglomerates, the large megalopolises, okay, that existed in the world, like London and Paris. Okay, he wanted this for America. And with the conflict between both men, Washington, naturally, given his long relationship with Hamilton, both men serving in the Revolutionary War together, Washington tended to side with Hamilton more than Jefferson on most issues, well beyond just economic. And, Jefferson, needless to say, wasn't too pleased with that, and as a result left the cabinet in 1793 because of it. But one can certainly see that ultimately, whose vision prevailed? You don't have to look around too far to see. Hamilton. America is indeed a corporate empire dominated by banks and businesses. It is the vision that Hamilton would have loved to see come to pass. And had he not been unfortunately taken out of this world as a result of a poor choice in agreeing to do a duel in 1804, he would have begun to see the United States slowly move toward that by the time he reached an old age himself, assuming he lived to one. And I'll also add for the record that Alexander Hamilton was a brilliant economist, very, very strong financial sense, and got this nation on a very solid and strong financial footing in its early years. Whereas Jefferson knew nothing about economics, and that was demonstrated by the very poor handling of his own personal finances. Jefferson lived lavishly and was in constant debt for his entire life. Okay, so it was probably wise, very much so, wise of Washington to listen to Hamilton on economic matters as opposed to Jefferson, where Hamilton actually knew what he was talking about when it came to economics, whereas Jefferson clearly did not. Jefferson, don't get me wrong, was a very intelligent and gifted man in many things, but economics was not his strong point. Alexander Hamilton had a very clear grasp of economics, which makes it clear as to why Washington made him the nation's very first Treasury Secretary. So, with that, I hope you have a better understanding of these two founding fathers and their views on the future of America, and hopefully you can use that to teach it to someone else. I'll talk to you at the next History Bite. Have a good day.